Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat Zaman. If you guys are not familiar with my name or with my YouTube channel, please check out my videos. I try to make videos for you guys so that you can enjoy the Arabic language, understand the Arabic language. And many of you guys out there have been asking, please, can you go through Arabic poetry? So this series is dedicated to helping those of you out there who want to understand Arabic poetry. We're going through the poetry of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anh, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're probably familiar with Ali radiallahu anhu, but are you familiar with his poetry? Here we have poetry which is attributed to him. We're not 100% sure that he said it, but many of the people of the past have attributed to him. So we're going to go through them. And even if he has not said it, it doesn't really matter, because the language, the richness of the poetry is also something which we can benefit from. So, without a delay, today I have a two-line poetry for you guys, and here is how it goes. إذا النائبات بلغن المدى وكادت تذوب لهن المهج وحل البلاء وبان العزاء فعند التناهي يكون الفرج. You see that kind of rhythm that takes place over here? This is actually called al-bahr al-mutaqarib. They call this bahr mutaqarib. إذا النائبات بلغن المدى وكادت تذوب لهن المحج. This is actually a rhythm of the Arabic poem. So if you guys are not familiar with the rhythms of Arabic poem, this is actually a science. I actually have a 4 or 5 lesson series on my YouTube, my Uruq, my website, which I go through these various poems and the meters. So, إذا النائبات بلغن المدى. إذا النائبات. So, نائبة is from the word naba yanubu, something which takes the place of another thing. A person who is absent, let's say the president is absent, the person who takes his place is known as the naib al-rais, the vice president. So the thing that takes the place of another thing, you call it a naib. And the Arabic language, calamities take the place of things in life. They've taken over your day. They've taken over your health. They've taken over your family. And the Arabs have a word for this, which is na'iba. Sometimes they might use the word, for example, musiba. They might use the word khutbah, or they might use something else. But we've actually come across many words previously in poems where this has actually been used. So na'ibat or nawa'ib. إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ when the nawaib, when the naibat, when the calamities, when the unfortunate, the bad fortune. Balagna, balagha yablugh, it means to reach. Wasala yasilu. Bulugh. And if you know in the Quran where this word actually is used, then please put it in the comments below. Balagna al-mada. Mada, it means the peak, right? The utmost thing, that the highest level. So when something reaches optimum. So when a person reaches the peak of a mountain, say this person reached mada al-jabal, or mada al-ard. He reached the furthest part of the earth. So he says, إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ بَلَغْنَ الْمَدَى. And normally you would have إِذَا بَلَغَ النَّائِبَاتُ الْمَدَى. Right? So this is like for ta'keed, for emphasis, just like in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ. So after the إِذَا, an ism is used. This comes for extreme emphasis. إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ بَلَغْنَ الْمَدَى. When the na'ibat, the hardships, the bad health that's been affecting you, the losing a job, or maybe having a job which is not sufficing you in your sustenance and income, or maybe your family, or maybe your friends, بَلَغْنَ الْمَدَى has reached the peak, has reached the highest it can reach. Just like, for example, sometimes it might happen with you. You might experience that, you know what, today has been the worst day of my life. Today I've had all of the worst things that can ever happen to me. It cannot get worse than this. Does that make sense? إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ بَلَغْنَ الْمَدَى. When the misfortunes, when the calamities, when the bad things that are happening, they reach their peak. وَكَادَتْ تَذُوبُ لَهُنَّ الْمُهَجْ. Kada, it means almost. وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. Like in the Quran. Kada, it means Kada Zaydun nama. Kada Zayd an yanam. Zayd almost went to sleep. Yeah. So kada is actually a word which comes for al-taqarub. Right? It means something that almost happened but didn't happen. Right? So kidtu af'al hadha. Kidtu an askhut. I almost was about to drop. وَكَادَتْ تَذُوبُ ذَابَ يَذُوبُ ذَوْبَ, which means to melt. So when ice melts, you say ذَابَ يَذُوبُ ذَوْبًا. Right? So this is considered to be what we call melting. Iron melts if it's hot enough, and gold melts. So ذَابَ يَذُوبُ وَكَادَتْ تَذُوبُ, and it almost melted, لَهُنَّ, for them, meaning due to the na'ibat. The hunna goes back to the na'ibat. Right? So as you can see, balagna is plural feminine, balagha, balagha, balaghu, balagat, balagata, balagna. And tadhubu is wahid muannath. Tadhubu, kadat tadhubu, melt. Lahunna, for them, the muhaj. Muhaj is the jama of muhjatun. Muhjatun actually means, muhjatun, what does it mean? Muhjatun, it means soul, ruh, your nafs, your body, the thing that keeps you alive inside. The Arabs call it the muhja, and muhaj is the plural. So kadat tadhubu lahunna al-muhaj. The muhaj, the souls, almost melted due to it. In other words, the calamities that a person is facing are so many that people would almost, their souls would almost melt, would almost disintegrate, would almost explode. Right? Nervous breakdown a person might have. But you see how in Arabic this word is used, ذاب المحج. This is a very nice expression. This is the muhaj melted. ذاب. And this is also going to be used in the hadith of the Dajjal as well, if you guys are familiar. One of the wordings of the hadith is ذاب يذوب. When he hears about the coming of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, that he's arrived, يذوب. ذاب يذوب, will melt. وحل البلاء وبان العزاء. حل يحل, it means to befall, to occur, and حل يحل, it means to become halal. Right, so don't get the two confused. Usually students make a mistake with this, and I remember when I was studying as well, this is something that I would get confused with as well. حل بهم العذاب. Adhab became halal upon them. What does it mean? So حل al-bala, the bala means calamity, difficulty, like na'iba. And this comes in the Quran many times. Inna fi that la bala'un azim, bala, a test, a tribulation. وَحَلَّ al-bala, the test and tribulation has befallen. Right? So this has come. As Muslims, we know when difficulties come to our lives, we know this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَبَانَ الْعَزَى, bana yabinu, baynunatan, it means to become, or bayanan, it means to become clear. Bana yabinu can also mean to become separated as well. Here, bayan would be more appropriate here. Right? So bana yabinu bayan. So in other words, the aza means the post-mourning. So when a person begins to mourn over the deceased, or they begin to mourn over a calamity, like an earthquake has hit, or tornado, and everything has been destroyed, and people are in sorrow and mourning, you say aza, these people are in aza. Right? So like you say in Urdu, if you've ever heard this word, they say ta'ziyat. It's an Arabic word, ta'ziyah. Azza yu'azzi ta'ziyah. It means when a person bereaves, consoles another individual. So the mourning, M-O-U-R, the mourning becomes clear, meaning it becomes clear that people are now going to mourn now. This is how bad the situation is. فَإِنْ التَّنَاهِ, so at the time of tanahi, tanaha, yatanaha, tanahiyan, it means to reach its end. Right, so فَإِنْ التَّنَاهِ, tanahi means to reach its end. It actually comes from the word nahi, nihaya. Have you heard the word nihaya? Well, nihaya is actually from that. So tanaha, yatanaha is when something reaches the highest level it can reach. It reaches its end point, can't go any further. When a fruit, an apple for example, it reaches its largest size and it's not going to go any further, you say this fruit has tanaha, azmuha. فَإِنْ التَّنَاهِ, so at the point of it reaching its peak and no more after that, يَكُونُ الْفَرَجْ, Faraj will occur. Faraj, this word has come before. It means opening. Ease will come, right? As opposed to dhiq. Dhiq, it means restriction, or usr, which means hardship, difficulty. Faraj is the opposite, which means ease. So this is also something, if you know any usage of this in the Quran, or you might not find in the Quran, but you might find it in du'as. If you can find a du'a or a hadith, then put it in the comments below. Let's see if you guys can find this. Okay, so what is this saying? Halla al-bala'u. Bala, the calamity has befallen, and ban al-aza'u, it's become clear, absolutely crystal clear, that people are going to start mourning now. Like everyone is now ready that death is going to happen. فَإِنْ التَّنَاهِ, so at the time of the calamity, the hardship reaching its peak, يَكُونُ الْفَرَجِ, that's when the opening will come from Allah. Ease will now open up. The doors of ease will open up from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look how beautifully Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu presents this whole issue. He's like bit by bit, gradually explaining, expounding on all of this. إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ بَلَغْنَا الْمَدَى وَكَادَتْ تَذُوبُ لَهُنَّ الْمُحَجِّ وَحَلَّ الْبَلَاءُ وَبَانَ الْعَزَاءُ فَإِنْ التَّنَاهِ يَكُونَ الْفَرَجِ. See how it kind of like rhymes as well. It kind of, you can almost say, you can hear the chiming in your head as well. So إِذَا النَّائِبَاتُ بَلَغْنَا الْمَدَى, when hardships and difficulties and calamities, they hit a person. وَكَادَتْ تَذُوبُ لَهُنَّ الْمُحَجِّ, and the muhaj, the souls, were about to be melted, were about to melt because the calamities have reached their peak, the hottest that they can get. وَحَلَّ الْبَلَاءُ, حَلَّ الْبَلَاء, and the bala, the hardships, حَلَّ, befell, occurred. وَبَانَ الْعَزَاء, and the aza and the mourning after a calamity, the bereavement after a calamity, became crystal clear that it was going to happen. فَعِنْدَ التَّنَاهِ, so then at the time of the tanahi, at the time of it reaching its peak, يَكُونُ الْفَرَجِ, when you think it's all over. Subhanallah. Now, when you think it's all over, faraj comes. Now, the word faraj, don't get this confused with farj, with a sukoon on the ra. Farj, it means private parts. Faraj, it means opening. And there's a similarity because private parts have an opening, so that's why they call it al-faraj. Faraj. Now, I'm going to ask you something which is interesting. I want you to try and find in the Quran an ayah which actually encapsulates the meaning of this poem. Right? So you basically want to find an ayah which is talking about hardships and difficulties, and then all of a sudden ease coming, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sending His help. Something of that nature. Put it in the comments below. Okay, so let's look at some of these expressions here. نائبات بلغ المدى. بلغ المدى. بلغت المصيبة مداها. بلغت المصيبة مداها. بلغ الجوع مداه. Hunger has reached its. That's a nice expression that you can possibly apply as well. تذوب المهج. ذاب المهجة في هذا. حل البلاء. حل البلاء. بان العزاء. See how it kind of rhymes. In balagha, we actually call this حل البلاء بان العزاء is called muqabala. Al-muqabala, when you have two or more rhyming things that follow after one another. And again, balagha, if I could go into the balagha of these poems, I would probably have to. I would extend these videos, make them much longer. But I would say definitely, if you guys are interested in balagha, learn it. Honestly, learn it wherever you can. I've got some courses on my website that you guys can register for. But generally, I would say balagha brings out the beauty in language. Okay, طيب. Let's look at now in Arabic. يقول إذا النائبات بلغن المدى وكادت تذوب لهن المحج. إذا كانت المصائب، إذا كانت المشكلات التي تصيب المرء أو الإنسان بلغت نهايتها، وصلت إلى قمتها، ليس بعدها شيء، بلغت مدى، وكادت تذوب لهن المحج. كادت النفوس، يعني قاربت النفوس، أوشكت النفوس أن تذوب، أن تهلك، أن تموت، أن تفنى بسبب هذه المصائب، لأنها بلغت ووصلت إلى نهايتها. وحل البلاء ونزل الاختبار والامتحان من الله سبحانه وتعالى، البلاء من الله سبحانه وتعالى، وبان العزاء، أصبح هذه الاجتماعات بعد الموت، التعزية، أصبح هذا الشيء واضح جدا، كأننا سنجتمع ونتعزى ونتسلى بعضنا بعضا. فعند التناهي، لما يصل الأمر إلى مبلغ، إلى نهايته، يكون الفرج، يكون الفتح من الله سبحانه وتعالى، اليسر والسهولة يأتي من الله سبحانه وتعالى. So Jazakumullah khair guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If there's any questions and suggestions, then as you guys know, leave them in the comments below. I like reading them. And also thank you to all my patrons, wonderful beautiful souls who are the ones who are supporting my channel on a monthly basis behind the scenes. You guys don't know them, but they are the ones who are supporting the work that I do. And honestly, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I thank them so much, because if it wasn't for you beautiful patrons, I probably would not be making videos on a daily basis. So it makes my life very easy as well. I'm able to free up time. And if there's anyone else who would like, because there's lots of projects I still want to do, but it just requires funding. So if there's anyone out there who does want to support the channel, then please check out the description below. You can become patron on a monthly basis, wherever you want to give, $1, £1, or you can actually do like one-off donations, or you can contact me, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.